The Pennsylvania Game is made possible in part by
a grant from the Pennsylvania Public Television Network. The network receives funding from the Commonwealth to provide public television for all Pennsylvanians.
Now, let's get the game started. Here's the host of the Pennsylvania Game, Scott Bruce.
Thank you, studio audience. Thank you so much. Thank you, viewers at home, for tuning in to another exciting round of the Pennsylvania Game. We've got a great panel, a scary panel, if I may, and I see no reason not to meet them right now. Let's start in the hot seat. He was the morning newsman on Indiana's WDAD radio for 13 years. He's now a reporter with the Indiana Gazette. Please say hello to Chauncey Ross. Number 2, she's currently the music director at WRKZ in Harrisburg, but for 30 years she was an all-night disc jockey. She's also the most awarded female in the history of country radio. Please say hello to Gwyneth Cease, better known as Dandelion.
Thank you.
And he's the news anchor on WHP Radio in Harrisburg, and now also an award-winning playwright. There's just no telling where he may pop up next. Let's have a big hand for Steve Wagner. We're going to see if we can get Steve enough winnings to buy a new tie, so let's start the game.
A Pittsburgh firm by the name of Prolume Limited is working on a better method of surgically removing certain cancers. To do this, Prolume is raising research funds by A, making glow-in-the-dark squirt guns, B, marketing high-protein energy bars, C, designing special pocket protectors for scientists, or D, harvesting leeches and maggots for certain medical treatments.
What did Prolume raise research funds? Making glow-in-the-dark squirt guns, marketing high-protein energy bars, designing special pocket protectors, or harvesting leeches and maggots? I wish we could start with Steve, but we'll start with Chauncey. Chauncey, what do you think?
Went with the leeches and maggots thing. It's just weird.
Leeches and maggots, yeah. That's a kind of a Pennsylvania Game tradition right there. Good thinking, Chauncey. I like it. We'll go to Dandelions.
Same reason I've watched this show.
I know we're all a bunch of leeches. Down to you, Steve.
I know that it's D only because they were down at the station looking for some maggots and they found
Looking for maggots.
Yeah.
3 Ds. What do we have? Take a lottery ticket and pass them down. From the Pennsylvania Lottery, we have a chance at winning $1,000 a week for life. Let's find out if, in fact, they've leached the right answer out of us.
The answer is A, making glow-in-the-dark squirt guns. Dr. Bruce Bryan and Gene Finley formed a partnership of doctors and scientists to clone luminescent genes from marine animals and use them for now in squirt guns. The idea is to raise enough money from selling novelty items to underwrite the research of using the glowing genes to identify cancerous tumors. Prolume hopes to make cancer cells shine so that surgeons can cut them out without fear of leaving any behind. However, research is enormously expensive, including trolling the ocean depths in search of luminous species. The jellyfish, sea pansies, squid, and other marine life that glow provide luminescent genes that can be copied and attached to other genes. The genes are inserted into bacteria which multiply rapidly, creating generous supplies. Prolume sells bioluminescent toys on its website at biotoy.com.
These folks are working on other novelty items, including glow-in-the-dark champagne and beer, cake frosting, ink, and hair mousse. And interestingly enough, if you drink the champagne and beer, you don't need the hair mousse. It'll glow all by itself. Okay, let's have another question.
Hollywood legend Katharine Hepburn attended Bryn Mawr College near Philadelphia. For what is she remembered by her late 1920s classmates? A, she was Bryn Mawr's first female student to receive a degree in theater arts. B, dressed as a man, she escorted her roommate to the senior ball. C, disappointed that she wasn't valedictorian, she refused to give the salutatory address. Or D, she was photographed in the nude in her dorm room.
Hello? My goodness, how many other guys, just out of curiosity, fell in love with Katharine Hepburn the first time you saw her on the movies? Okay, just me. All right. Dandelion, we'll go to you first. Was she Bryn Mawr's first female student to receive a degree in theater arts? Did she dress as a man to escort her roommate? Did she was she disappointed about the valedictorian, or was she photographed in the nude?
She was always feisty.
Feisty.
I would say C. She would
C.
do something like that. And Steve Wagner does a marvelous imitation of her.
Oh, he does. Well,
Yes,
we'll find
drinking,
that out,
but he might do it sober.
momentarily. He might do it sober?
Yeah.
Steve, let's find out.
What, the imitation or the answer?
You may give me both.
I went with thee. Dressed as a man, escorted to the senior ball.
Oddly enough, she was at exactly that age when I fell in love with her. Isn't that amazing? And so you went with B for dressed as a man. I like that choice as well. Chauncey, over to you.
Went with C. I think
C?
that cranky thing started early.
Started early. So we have two C's, we have a B, and we have an entirely wrong panel.
The answer is D. She was photographed in the nude in her dorm room. Arriving at Bryn Mawr College at age 17, Kathy, as she was called, was undisciplined academically, had difficulty adjusting to college life, and made few friends. She showered after midnight when the rest of the dorm was asleep, shinnied up and down drain pipes to avoid curfew, smoked, and dressed in male clothing. Her classmates remember her not only for wading bare-legged in the fountain of the library cloister and then rolling herself dry on the grass, but also for allowing herself to be photographed nude in her dormitory room, and then mocking the horrified pharmacist who refused to print the film. Realizing she couldn't participate in campus dramatics unless her grades improved, she hit the books with steadfast determination. Her grades improved dramatically, and by her junior year, she got the lead in 2 plays. Katharine Hepburn graduated from Bryn Mawr on June 7, 1928, and used her brains and talent to become one of Hollywood's favorite leading ladies.
Special thanks to Richard Engelstein of Lititz, Pennsylvania, for sending that question in. He'll receive a 1-year subscription to Pennsylvania Magazine. Now, let's get to know our panel a little bit better. Chauncey?
Hey, Scott.
I got this here, and I can't believe this, but I'm going to read it anyway. So you decided to bungee jump at the Indiana County Fair, and your wife had no objections? Does that concern you at all that she wasn't?
The first time she didn't know.
Ah.
So, but the second time was at her urging. She said, "Oh, you've got to do this again."
And was she
and we've got to get a video. I don't know which Rupert Murdoch TV show she wanted to send that to.
Well, it all worked out. I'm glad to see you're here with us today, Chauncey. Thanks for being here. Let's move down. Yes. Dandelion, in 1999, you and another woman became the first females to be inducted into the Country Music Disc Jockey Hall of Fame. That is something. Congratulations.
After 53 men.
After 53 men?
They allowed 2 women in. Isn't that
Well,
great?
but and who would they pick except the best?
Thank
Cream
you.
rises to the top.
But I got to tell you one thing.
What's that?
Since I'm on this show, I got to tell you this. People don't brag about Pennsylvania enough.
Yes.
I love this state. I'm born and raised here. I've been in every state except one in this country. All of them together do not compare to Pennsylvania.
I'm going to have to agree with you completely on that. Pennsylvania, the best. Born here as well. We'll go down to Steve. Steve, now you're an award-winning playwright. Tell us about this play. What is it titled? The Doors of Lebanon County?
Yeah, it was a theme. You had to write to a theme for this contest, and I was one of the winners. And Scott, this can open up whole new vistas of unemployment for me.
I can see that happening, Steve. I wish you the best of luck in all your endeavors. Let's jump right back to the Pennsylvania game with a new question.
Born in 1957 and raised in Philadelphia's Germantown, he is one of the most accomplished jazz guitarists in the country. Since 1995, he is best known as the music director of The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Who is he? A. Kevin Eubanks, B. Branford Marsalis, C. Pat Metheny, or D. Wes Montgomery.
All right, who is that hiding out there with Jay on The Tonight Show? Is it Kevin Eubanks, Branford Marsalis, Pat Metheny, or Wes Montgomery? Steve, down to you first.
Kevin Eubanks.
Kevin Eubanks.
Yes.
Authority.
Yes. Well, you see, I think it was Branford Marsalis who left because he said Jay wanted him to laugh at all his jokes, so Jay found somebody who would laugh at all his jokes.
Well, there you go. And you think Kevin's in there now?
Yeah.
All right, we'll go over to Chauncey.
Kevin, he's a pushover for those jokes, too.
Okay, he just goes for them all. He laughs. I need a good
Let it
Kevin
flow.
Eubanks here.
Let it flow.
Dandelion.
Oh, Kevin, he just made a comment about Willie Nelson in one of the trade papers, that he'd rather play with Willie Nelson than anybody else. Jam with Willie.
What does that mean? 3 lottery tickets. They don't want to win the game, they want lottery tickets. Are they right?
The answer is A, Kevin Eubanks. The Philadelphia native began studying the violin at age 7. A piano and trumpet player as well, he fell in love with the guitar at age 12 after attending a James Brown concert. Eubanks became band leader of The Tonight Show with Jay Leno in 1995, replacing saxophonist Branford Marsalis, who left to pursue a solo career. One of the most dynamic jazz guitarists in the country, Eubanks wrote the show's closing theme song, Kevin's Country, and maintains a busy touring and recording schedule. He manages 3 concerts a year, in between writing and recording his own music and composing for films and TV. His 13th CD debuted in 1996. Despite his success in L.A., Eubanks still says there's no place like Philly.
One of our funniest panels we've put together. I couldn't be more excited. Let's take a look and see how they're scoring. The score is 1. That's right, they all have 1. 1 to 1 to 1, it's a tie. That means it's time for our first clue in the Mystery Pennsylvanian. Get your pens ready, here she comes. Born in Italy in 1936, he grew up in Pittsburgh and was a top athlete in the ring during the 1960s and 70s. That's right, born in Italy, 1936. He grew up in Pittsburgh and was a top athlete in the ring during the 1960s and 70s. Write that down on the top line. You're going to get 3 points. Second line, you'll get 2. If you get it by the third clue, you'll get a point. And everybody seems happy, and they are looking at me like I'm from another planet. But that doesn't matter, because I can take us right back to the game.
Roger Owen started his company in his Yardley, Pennsylvania garage in 1982. He was first to market his product as a separate enterprise within supermarkets, and today his business is the Mid-Atlantic region's largest such retailer. Did Owens found A, the Coinstar change counting machines, B, Chinese kitchen takeout restaurants, C, Bucks County coffee, or D, bottled water refill stations?
Roger Owen, coin counting machines, Chinese kitchen takeout, Bucks County coffee, or bottled water refills. Chauncey, we're back to you first.
Going with A, going with something that makes sense.
It makes sense. Well, see, that's going to get you in so much trouble here. That really is. Don't think sensical. Dandelion, what do you got?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't a clue. But I said D. Why not?
You said D, why not? You went with the water. I think that's as good as anything I can come up with.
Good as
Steve?
anyone before.
I went with A because who cares?
Ah, hey, that's a good answer. Who cares? Well, here's who cares. Wendy Williams cares.
The answer is C, Bucks County coffee. Roger Owen knew nothing about coffee beans when he started Bucks County Coffee Company in 1982 in his garage. The former industrial salesman started out with a nut roasting business called Bucks County Nut Company. But by 1988, he was selling coffee, reasoning that you can't eat a pound of cashews every week, but you can brew a pound of coffee. The company features about 50 coffee varieties at 45 stores in 6 states, including Pennsylvania, New York, and Maryland. It's the leader in specialty coffee in the Mid-Atlantic region. Owens was the first to sell made-to-order coffee drinks and blends at mini stores within grocery stores. In fact, the in-market kiosks account for 65% of Bucks County Coffee's annual sales.
The fun just keeps coming, and we're going to keep rolling along. Let's go to a new question.
Philadelphia-born Lorenzo Langstroth had a lifelong interest in beekeeping, or apiculture. Known as the father of American beekeeping, Langstroth discovered which bee fact in 1851? A, there is one queen in every hive. B, a honeybee's antennae are for smelling and feeling. C, bees need a specific amount of space in order to produce honeycombs. Or D, if bees can't find pollen for producing honey, they'll gather flour or meal or even sawdust as a substitute.
Known as the father of beekeeping. Lorenzo, what did he discover? There is one queen in every hive. Honeybees' antennae are for smelling and feeling. Bees need a specific amount of space in order to produce honeycombs. If bees can't find pollen for producing honey, they'll gather flour or meal. This is fascinating. I love it. Dandelion, we'll go to you first. Maybe they gathered some of you.
This is the reason I didn't study at all. I mean, I went with D again.
D again. Well, you know, if you keep consistently on the same order, eventually you'll hit. That's my theory. Steve?
Well, insect, maggots, bees. With the maggots, I went with D. This time I went with A. There's one queen in every hive.
One queen in every hive.
Yeah.
Very good. Queenie. Chauncey?
I picked A. I think all the other three are things they probably knew long before that, but this is the one they probably should have known before anything else.
We have two queens and we have some pollen searching. Let's find out. What do we have?
The answer is C. Bees need bee space in order to produce honeycombs. Lorenzo Langstroth studied theology at Yale College and began his own church in Andover, Massachusetts. When health problems forced Langstroth to give up his ministry, he returned to Philadelphia and to beekeeping, which he had pursued as a childhood hobby. Langstroth observed that his honeybees would not produce honeycombs if there were less than 3/8 of an inch between all sides of the frames and the hive body, now referred to as bee space. In 1851, Langstroth designed a beehive to accommodate for this space. The new hive allowed an apiarist or beekeeper to harvest the honey without having to kill the colony of bees, which had been necessary previously. It also allowed beekeepers to observe their hives for missing queen or disease, which would prevent the swarm from producing honey. Today's beekeepers still use Langstroth's hive, or a variation of it, to get the most honey out of their colonies.
You learn on our show, don't you? Isn't that fabulous? You learn something all the time. Let's go back and check our scores again because we got to keep updated. We want to make sure that we don't miss anything. Now the score is, well, it's still 1. 1 to 1 to 1. That means it's time for our second clue in the Mystery Pennsylvanian. Here it comes. He put the Worldwide Wrestling Federation on the map before ending his career after his last match in 1985. He put the Worldwide Wrestling Federation on the map before ending his career after his last match in 1985. He was born in Italy in 1936. He grew up in Pittsburgh and was a top athlete in the ring during the 60s and 70s. Ooh, everybody wrote fast on that one. We've got 3 answers down. That's a good thing to see. That means we can just not waste time and play the game.
Pennsylvania industrialist Henry Clay Frick became a millionaire by age 30. In 1892, he was involved in which famous labor dispute? A, the anthracite coal strike. B, the War of Jenkins' Ear. C, the Great Strike of Pittsburgh's railroad industry. Or D, the Homestead Strike.
All right, what did Henry Clay Frick get involved with? Was it the anthracite coal strike? Was it the War of Jenkins' Ear? Was it the Great Strike of Pittsburgh's railroad industry? And the train came through early on that one. Or was it the Homestead Strike? We're going to go down to Steve. Steve, what do you think?
Well, that horn, that whistle don't throw me off none here. Just so happens to know a little bit about this, and I'm going with D, the Homestead Strike.
You want the Homestead Strike?
Yeah, because it's right outside of Pittsburgh, you know.
Yeah. I'm not sure, was that Cliff Clavin or Pittsburgh?
It was Pittsburgh.
It was Pittsburgh. Okay, just say, I thought Cliff kind of snuck in on me there for a second.
Well, you know.
Yeah, we'll get you a normie beer later. It'll be all right. Chauncey, what do you think?
That was D. That was D.
Homestead. Oh, 2 people who are positive. Dandelion?
You know, why did I go with D again?
Because you didn't want the other lottery ticket.
Stupid. No, I went with A.
A. Well, you know what? Your answers have spelled out Dad, and he used to work for Dad. That could mean something for someone. Let's find out who.
The answer is D, the Homestead Strike. Henry Clay Frick started his own Coke company at age 21 and eventually controlled 80% of Pennsylvania's coal output. He and Andrew Carnegie formed a partnership, and in 1892, he was manager of the Homestead plant and chairman of Carnegie Steel Company. To increase profits, Frick lowered workers' wages, which sparked a strike by the Amalgamated Iron and Steel Workers Union. Frick brought in 300 Pinkerton guards to secure the plant against the striking men. Fierce fighting broke out, leaving 10 men dead and many injured in one of the most famous and deadly strikes in American labor history. Upon his death, he left endowments to establish Frick Park in Pittsburgh. And to New York City, he left his house, which contained priceless paintings, furniture, and Renaissance bronze pieces. Today, his house and its contents are known as the Frick Collection.
And if you know your history, you'll know that the War of Jenkins' Ear was in fact an actual real war. However, it was between England and Spain, so I don't think it counts too much. Not on our show in Pennsylvania, so let's get back to more Pennsylvania.
In 1702, Elfreth's Alley was used as a cartway between 2nd and Front Streets in Philadelphia. Many of the street's early residents were mariners, craftsmen, and shopkeepers. What else is this street known for? A, the doorways to all the structures were only 4.5 feet high. B, it was the site of the first public denunciation of slavery. C, it was the first street in America made with bricks. Or D, it's the oldest residential street in America.
Oh, I don't know about you, but I hope it's the site of the first public denunciation of slavery. I love good things like that. But what was it? We don't know. The doors were all 4.5 feet high. The slavery issue, was it the first road made of bricks or the oldest residential street in America? Chauncey?
Going with A.
You're going with A?
Just little thoughts in that.
Little thoughts,
Just
little people,
thoughts.
little doors, little knobby. We'll go down to Dandelion.
Never again will I distrust D. D.
D. You're going to the D. Stick to the D. Ride that D train. Steve?
Well, I'm old enough to remember that it was the first street in America made with bricks, and they were kind of whitish, a beige brick.
Steve, you're old enough to remember when they founded this country. I love this.
Believe him.
Steve is so positive, and he is so wrong.
The answer is D, the oldest residential street in America. William Penn designed Philadelphia with ample plots and wide streets to prevent the overcrowding that contributed to London's Great Fire of 1666. But soon, alleyways intersected the broad avenues, providing modest housing for the immigrants and tradespeople. Created in 1702, Elfreth's Alley is lined with 32 colonial and federal period homes, each no more than 16 feet wide. The compact little alley and its narrow homes give the street an almost miniature dollhouse character. First known as Gilbert's Alley, it was renamed in the 1750s after Jeremiah Elfreth, a blacksmith and land speculator who built and rented many of the houses.
Time for our third clue in the Mystery Pennsylvanian. Here it comes. Nicknamed the Italian Strongman, he still holds the record for being the longest-running heavyweight champion in WWF history. The Italian Strongman holds the record for the longest-running heavyweight champion in history. Born in Italy in '36, grew up in Pittsburgh, was a top athlete in the ring in the '60s and '70s, and he put Worldwide Wrestling Federation on the map before his career ended with his last match in '85. Everybody's got an answer. Cece, go ahead and put her... Cece. Dandelion. put it up in your slot there, and let's see what you got. We have... You're going to have to read for me. My angle doesn't work.
Marciano.
Marciano and Rocco. Okay, which is
All
Rocky
wrong.
Marciano?
No.
Okay, just Rocco. Well, we
there was
don't
a
know.
wrestler named Rocco. He might be... They're probably all dead, but...
Well, we'll find
you
out.
said Italian, so...
We'll find out. Yeah, you got Italians,
It is
and that's
all.
very good. We'll go down to Steve. Let's see what Steve came up with.
Question mark, Rocky Graziano and Primo Carnera at the bottom.
Primo Carnero, I like that. Good boxer, too. Yeah, I like that. Boxer, though, not a wrestler. But, you know,
Well, he did
details.
both.
Yeah. Oh, did he do both?
Yeah.
Well, that could be the guy.
Yeah.
Chauncey?
I was hoping we were going with real wrestling, so I
Yeah.
went with Bruno. And I would have went with Bruno if I wasn't thinking the other kind of ring for the first question.
So you went Bruno Sammartino, and Bruno Sammartino. So that's your final answer. Well, there we go. Those are all the answers. Let's see if any of them got it.
Bruno Sammartino was born in Italy in 1936 and came to America as a teenage immigrant who couldn't speak English and was often beaten up. He started his professional wrestling career in 1959 and went on to become the Worldwide Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion in 1963, a title he would hold for the next 7 years. Nicknamed the Italian Strongman, Sammartino possessed enormous brute strength and was hugely popular, building a fan base unlike anyone else until Hulk Hogan. He retired in 1981, but climbed back into the ring one last time with his son David for a father-son tag team match in 1985. Today, the so-called living legend stays away from professional wrestling, which he says has become, quote, an X-rated obscene sleaze show. Bruno Sammartino, of famous Pennsylvania.
Yeah! Let's take a look at our scoreboard. Steve has 2 points. Gwyneth, 3 points. Chauncey, 4 points, our new champion right over here. Wendy Williams, tell him what he won.
Okay, Scott, today's winner receives glow-in-the-dark bio toys from ProLume and the Elvis Collection gift set from Zippo of Bradford, Pennsylvania. Zippo, the genuine windproof lighter. Plus 50 chances to win $1,000 a week for life from the Pennsylvania Lottery.
Look at all those fabulous prizes. A great job. We're out of time. How about a big round of applause for everybody? Bye-bye.
The Pennsylvania game is made possible in part
by a grant from the Pennsylvania Public Television Network. The network receives funding from the Commonwealth to provide public television for all Pennsylvanians.
Guest accommodations provided by the Nittany Lion Inn on the University Park campus of Penn State.